On July 17, 1940, the city of Cuyahoga Falls opened its first municipal outdoor swimming pool, known as Waterworks Pool on Monroe Falls Avenue, which rapidly became the city's most popular summer recreational pastime. As the demand for swimming increased over the next quarter century, it was soon revealed through a 1964 master plan that public interest demanded and would support an indoor swimming pool in the community as well. Cuyahoga Falls City Council approved in June of 1967 the construction of a dedicated building with a swimming pool to be known as the Natatorium. After 2 years of research, study, and design by the architect, the Parks and Recreation Board, and the staff, final drawings met approval. It was recommended that the Natatorium be developed and programmed primarily as a recreation facility, but that it also be available to the schools for academic use during the school day, since the schools had no swimming pool. Designing the year-round swimming facility within a downtown civic center bounded by a senior high school, the municipal building, and 3 churches became the architect's challenge. There was considerable public opposition as to the rather undesirable atmosphere of an indoor pool in the summer. The architect's matchless solution resulted in a uniquely designed facility, combining true indoor-outdoor year-round swimming for the Cuyahoga Falls community through the innovative use of an air structure. Construction was made possible by a Parks and Recreation Development levy and began in 1968 under the watchful eyes of over 50,000 residents who anxiously awaited its completion. Newspapers told of the lightweight vinyl roof supported only by air that would be removed for summer months of swimming. The roof spanned a 100-foot by 100-foot opening over the pool and decks and was attached to a promenade deck encircling the pool at a second-floor level. The promenade deck was designed for summer sunbathing only when the roof was removed. There was great anticipation in the community until the day finally arrived when the building was inflated and the beautiful white vinyl roof swelled into place. Whether from the inside or outside, it was a beautiful building to behold. Held in place by circulated air from a forced air heating system, the roof was cleaned and removed each year in May, and surprisingly, took less than an hour to deflate and fold into a 5-foot square package. Reinstallation was an equally trouble-free process.
In 1973, I was just finishing my first year as a teacher at Cuyahoga Falls, and I was asked by, I think, Doreen Hulig, the superintendent's wife, to maybe work in the Park and Recs for the summer. As a young teacher, I always could use the money, and of course start working with the Natatorium as a maintenance crew. And at one point, I believe it was in July, the lightning strike hit the bubble, as we called it, at the Natatorium, and it tore a hole right in the middle of it, and it fell into the pool, and just the engineering and trying to get it out was incredible, though I was not part of that. But I recall, without question, we had I think about 25 to 30 people that were trying to wrestle it into the van that we were renting to take to where it was fixed in Brighton, New Jersey.
The grand opening of the new Natatorium was held in December 1969. The facility included the L-shaped pool, 2 locker rooms, and provided for open swims, competitive swimming by residents, competition swim meets by the high school swim team, and swim lessons for the public. 7 years later, due to rising heating costs, weather vulnerability, blower equipment stress, and unpredictable summer weather, it was determined that a permanent roof structure be installed on the Natatorium. It was also felt that more people would frequent the facility if additional space and programming were added. The first of several additions was completed in 1977. The removal of the fabric roof and the installation of the steel beamed roof created 2 key programming elements. The upper-level sunning deck became the elevated running jogging track, and an equipment room became the first exercise fitness room. The fitness room offered a sauna, whirlpool, an 8-station exercise center, stationary bicycles, incline boards, and 4 pieces of exercise equipment. Natatorium patrons soon began frequenting their new fitness center in droves. It was during this period that monthly memberships were offered in addition to annual memberships. Interest in health and fitness began to peak, and it wasn't long before the new edition had stretched its limits. Planning soon got underway for a second edition. Heeding the demands of the male population, this next edition featured a much larger fitness room, 2 whirlpools, a new sauna, and a men's fitness locker room. This edition was completed in 1979.
When the addition of the first edition in 1977 and the permanent roof came on, it made all the difference in the world in this building, because originally it was just really the swimming pool, and then it now turns into a fitness facility that included the upper track and the first fitness room, which we were talking earlier, trying to think in this building what room might be about that size, and actually we're right outside the racquetball rooms, and I'm thinking that's pretty close. It's probably even larger than what the original fitness facility was, but we put in that room a whirlpool, we put in a sauna, we put in an 8-station of fitness, we had bicycles, we had just about everything anybody would want in a fitness facility. It just wasn't very much of it. But what it did is it brought the folks in, and it allowed them to see what's available in a fitness center, and the desire continued on with not only interest in that edition in 77, but before we knew it, we were working on an edition for 79. And it was the people really who didn't allow us to sit back and say, well, we just put on another edition, we don't need to worry about it anymore.
In order to accommodate the continuing expanding appeal in exercise, health, and fitness, plans for a 3rd edition reached the drafting table. Women were now using the facility in increasing numbers, and racquetball became the sport of choice. Edition number 3 opened in December of 1981 and included a women's fitness locker room, 6 racquetball handball courts, a lower-level running track, and a new 40-car parking lot. During the mid-1980s, more and more demand arose for increased space and even more fitness programming. The 4th and most elaborate of all natatorium editions soon began the planning process.
And then in the 80s, Don retired somewhere in there, and I became the superintendent, and the folks were still interested in fitness grew, and we then worked toward the edition in 1989.
The 4th Natatorium edition, completed in 1989, featured an aerobics room, expanded lobby, 2 locker rooms, a 6-lane lap pool, water slide, partial renovation of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, and the introduction of the fitness circuit.
And a friend of mine told me about a new program at the Natatorium called the Fitness Circuit. So my husband and I decided to become members then, and we joined. My goal was to lose 20 pounds by my 40th birthday. And we religiously went to the circuit 3 days a week, sometimes 4. Fortunately, on my 40th birthday, I had reached my goal, which I've kept off pretty much most of the weight. And after retiring from retail after 35 years, I was looking for a part-time job, and Karen said, I have something for you. And so now I am upstairs doing orientations for the circuit and running the upstairs fitness floor. And it's just been a great experience, and I love it.
With the 1989 edition, the Natatorium in Cuyahoga Falls became the only public health and fitness center in northern Ohio. The user population continued to grow. Throughout the 1990s, the building remained status quo, and memberships reached a plateau. Revenues decreased, expenses increased, and neighboring cities began constructing new community centers. In the autumn of 1998, the Natatorium faced perhaps its biggest challenge. The original dive pool began having major problems, including several leaks in the aluminum walls and at the pool bottom. Quite simply, it was time to replace the 30-year-old pool. It was also recognized that if a new recreational pool was needed, perhaps there were other changes in the facility the patrons would like to see. The Parks and Recreation Department produced a survey for natatorium users asking what amenities they would find most appealing. The response was overwhelming. The community's vision included childcare, a recreational leisure pool, more fitness space and equipment, more aerobics classes, free weight room, gymnasium, nutrition programs, and corporate wellness programs. The study also reflected that this vision would best be met by building a complete new facility.
And when we came back at the end of the 90s, there were still more people, there was more interest in health and fitness, and the desire was to have even more than what we could put on in addition. So the next thing that happened was we got the research going and talked to the folks, and we ended up with the new facility.
Ground was broken in November of 2002, and a topping off ceremony was held in November of 2003. 3 houses in the nearby vicinity were torn down to make way for the new civic campus. The citizens of Cuyahoga Falls anxiously witnessed the new construction. The original facility closed and was demolished in June of 2004 to make room for the new facility's parking lot. Through public auction, many sentimental pieces of Natatorium memorabilia reached the anxious hands of patrons who had strong ties to this community gathering place. In September of 2004, the new Natatorium, all 116,000 square feet, proudly opened its doors for business with a special grand opening weekend packed full of activities and events that involved the entire community. A special evening preview celebration, charter member breakfast for over 1,200 members, a 5K race and family fun run,